Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to day 28 of the 31 Days of Horror. D Bougie 86 here again, guys. That is right. Today I have a film for you guys from the good old year of 1981. Uh, yeah, this is one that I have seen once, and I wanted to revisit it. And it's one that, I kept in my mind for the longest time, and that goes by the title of Eyes of a Stranger. Yes, Eyes of a Stranger is a kind of in the slasher role of the 1981 era, where it's been put into like the slashers, but it's kind of different than a lot of the slashers that did come from 81. And I'll get a little bit more into that in a minute. Pretty much, Eyes of a Stranger is about our main setup of it sets in Miami, and there's a bunch of this group of like serial murders slash rapes happening around the area, and a young news reporter named Jane who takes care of her blind slash deaf sister Tracy. Uh, Pretty much kind of gets the assumption that one of her neighbors might be the actual killer. That is pretty much the setup of the film without getting too crazy into it. Now, my thoughts on the film as a whole. Uh, yeah, Eyes of a Stranger, of course, this is directed by Ken Wiederhorn, uh, who, if you don't know who he is, directed like Shockwaves and like Return of the Living Dead Part 2, to name a few. And he's actually a director that I actually dig a lot of the styles of filming that he does. He borrows a lot from like the subtle hints of like Giallo-esque in this film, with the aspect of colors and way of the shots that are progression. And this is a very different type of movie. It is a slasher in sense, but kind of more in vein of like something like Don't Answer the Phone or Maniac, where we actually know who the killer is through a lot of the movie because of the aspect of following him around, seeing what he does, seeing him without a mask, sort of like that aspect of it, where it's kind of interesting. Plus, this is kind of more in the genre of like, a damsel knows her killer type movies, like Visiting Hours was a perfect example of this. And yeah, it's an interesting one with some gripping, thrilling scenes, especially the whole climax of the movie is probably the most memorable of this film, which involves Tracy, who's Jennifer Jason Leigh in the film, uh, who's at the time uh, of the character is, in a state that can't really defend herself too much against this killer because of being deaf, blind, and mute. So you have that going on, and it's thrilling because of the aspects of pure terror, because things start to that she placed are not there anymore, and you see as the audience member the killer standing right next to her and moving shit. It's kind of terrifying, especially in that mindset of being like that, and it's kind of heartbreaking too. The aspects of the ending where we kind of have the idea of it's kind of mentioned here and there. I'm not going to go into details of why Tracy is the way that she is, and this film's get down and dirty. It's dirty, kind of sleazy type of film. Well, not really, because there is some like aspects of rape in this film that are kind of situated, although not really act upon later on in the film. Thank God for the aspects of the ending. Yeah, uh, the effects are very good. Like there's this whole opening like kill sequence where uh, there's actually like a decapitation, and a lot of the effects were done by Tom Savini at the time, and pretty fucking gnarly. The way that the reveal of the decapitation, which if you've seen the thumbnail, uh, you get the idea of what I'm getting at here, folks, with that aspect of it. Some funny moments because actually, Wiederhorn's previous film before this was Shockwaves, and a lot of the members of the cast and characters are watching Shockwaves out of nowhere in the film. So that's cute, you know. He pays like a little shout out to himself in a way. The score is really good, of course, done by Richard Einhorn, who did numerous Wiederhorn films, including this and Shockwaves. He also did the score for The Prowler the same year. So yeah, it has a great score, great setting. The Miami setting at the time, it kind of is like a polar opposite of like a New York setting, and it has like a more sleazy aspect of it for this type of film, which you don't really get to see, especially with like all like the down and nitty gritty of like the porn striptease character acts that go on in the film. And yeah, it's a very interesting film that kind of gets outlooked from the rest of the slasher output from the 1981 standpoint, but it's kind of on its own in a different aspect where it has more character development, where we have like these female characters that we're following in the film being strong and fighting against this killer and getting the upper hand on him in a way. That's what I dig about this one, and I dug about it the first time I watched it. I liked it a little bit more this time on the rewatch, and really cool shit. If you haven't seen Eyes of a Stranger, I think the DVD might be still in print of this. I actually have this in a box set. As you can see, it came part of the Twisted Terror collection, which was cool release because actually a lot of like the gore shit was cut out of like the original theatrical version. They kind of re-put it into like this DVD version of the film. So it's got that going for it too. You get some cool like kills and shit in the film too that weren't in like the original theatrical version, which fucking gnarly shit. It's a fun little movie. I actually really dig the fuck out of this, and it's cool like aspects. So, like if you're a fan of slashers and you haven't seen this one, you might dig it. You know, especially if you like films like Don't Answer the Phone or Maniac, which are not everyone's cup of tea because they're kind of more realistic in that sense too, with like the aspect of, you know, you get to know the serial killer a little bit more and personal, that type of deal. But it's fucking fun. This one's a little bit more fun than those films, in my opinion, because there's more of a procedural in those ones and more of a kind of heartbreaking situation, where this one kind of has like a little strong moment to it with like the characters. So if I had to rate Eyes of the Stranger, I'm going to give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. I highly enjoyed this one. Big fan of Wiederhorn's work. He does some films that I dig a lot. I'm actually a huge Shockwave fan as well. And if you haven't seen that film, check it out. Nazi Zombies, the godfather of Nazi zombie movies. But yeah, that's it. 8.5 out of 10 for Eyes of a Stranger. Alright, guys, that's it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it as always. Back tomorrow with another one for you guys, so I'll see you then. Peace out.